Hey guys, welcome back to Honey in the Rock. I'm Sophie and this is Gretchen. So Gretchen and I were prayer partners this summer. And it was really sweet just to like get to know her and her heart better. She is very aware of like details and everything, and it's really sweet to see how she let the Lord work through just the little details in her life, but then also in camp. So I'm excited for you guys to hear from her more because she's been a great friend to me and just an advice giver. She's a great listener. And so thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Tell us where you're from. Oh, she was also our AD. So she was like boss man, boss woman. She killed it. Um, she took care of us and set everything up perfectly for us to do our jobs well. And so she was very humble in working well in all the little tedious things so we could do what we needed to do. So she's incredible. Where are you from now?
Yeah. So I'm from Bowling Green, Kentucky, and I'm a teacher. So I teach fourth grade here.
That's so fun. I wish I was in your fourth grade class.
We would have a
I
lot.
would, I would learn a lot. Is that fractions?
Yeah, like you start like there's a little bit of fractions in third grade, but it gets more intense in fourth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all I remember from fourth
Yeah.
grade. There was this kid in my class, and his mom worked at like a box company,
Uh-huh.
and so she got us extra pizza boxes. And during the fractions unit, we just like drew in the pizza
Yeah.
boxes, I guess. And I don't remember how I was horrible at fractions, but I was really good at drawing the pizzas in the
The
pizza
pizzas.
boxes.
That's so fun.
I think I missed the point
Yeah.
of the whole. I was like drawing and playing store, and I was like, I didn't pick up on the fraction part. Well, sweet. Um, and you just moved back?
Yes, yeah. I just came back and moved into a new apartment and I'm excited for
Big girl
here.
things.
Yeah, really big girl thing.
Um, okay, what did this summer look like for you, like a little bit on the like more logistical side?
Yeah, yeah. So my job was, like you said, logistical and like the organizational sides of camp. And so it had a lot of pieces to it, but a lot of like setting camp up well ahead of time and then, doing the details during camp of attendance and
Mm.
church hosting. And so a lot of like behind the scenes things, but like the little details that I got to love so that could hopefully help you all make your
Right.
job easier and the church's experience easier. So yeah.
That's so fun. And then you were both MTL and BSL, right?
Yeah, my first summer I was both, and then my second and third summer I was just an MTL
Yeah,
and
that's
AD
awesome.
twice.
Yep. Look at her go. So she basically is Fuge Camps.
Oh no, I love it, so.
Well, sweet. You can share your testimony and you can start wherever you want to.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So I grew up in a Christian home. I feel like that's the start of most,
Yeah.
but I did grow up in a Christian home. My parents and grandparents, both love the Lord a lot. My grandparents were definitely like the spiritual kind of leaders, like for me, and still really are. My parents are like growing in that as well, but my grandparents were really the ones that were constantly and still are constantly helping me like look for the Lord and learn more about His character. But I got saved when I was really young. I was 7. And I don't remember all the things I was thinking at that moment, but I do remember finally realizing, like, oh, these sinners that we're talking about, that's me. And that I have that gap between me and the Lord because of my sin. And I learned, that there was a way for me to get to the Lord, that He made a way for me through living His life and dying on the cross and rising from the dead. And so that was when I like initially put my faith in the Lord at that point. And then throughout like elementary school, middle school, high school, I know that I was trying to pursue the Lord. I had really good community at church. Definitely like got distracted by different things, sports and school and all the things. But college was like the biggest part of my testimony for me. And so like when I got to college, that was the first time I ever had like a choice of, what am I going to do? Am I going to like pursue the Lord or am I going to pursue the world?
Right.
And I didn't, sadly did not always like choose the Lord in that. And so I very quickly came to realize that like I can't do that. I cannot like split my devotion like that. And there was just different things that I might have been dealing with and things where I'd be like, well, I might be in a situation that isn't the best, but I'm not doing the bad thing. I'm just kind
Mhm.
of there around it, and maybe try to like justify certain things And the Lord really was so like faithful and kind to me to reveal to me that that again was not like the life was not there.
Right.
And towards the end of my freshman year, I was listening to some music actually, and this song came on called One Thing, and in it it talks about like all I know is everything I have means nothing, Jesus, if you're not my one thing. And that like hit me because I realized like, oh my goodness, I've been saying Jesus is my number one thing, but the other things are not supporting that and not showing that he is. And so I realized like, oh, Jesus does not just need to be my number one thing. Like he is my overarching. He is my everything. And yeah, there's just some verses like the Lord called to my mind that I James is my favorite book of the Bible, or one of my favorite books. And James 4:4 says like, don't you know that friendship with the world is hostility towards God? And like that was something I reminded myself of a lot. Like, whoa, I like literally can't pursue both these things.
Gosh. Yeah.
And then after that, I genuinely just, I like God just like got a hold of me more. And really was able to like, with his help, recenter my life, like all completely on him, which was sweet. And I feel like that throughout my life, like since then, and when I look back on it, that I do just see like the faithfulness of the Lord being the theme, and the fact of like him reaching out to me and like him holding on to me even when I'm
Right.
trying to get away, or like I'm, not pursuing him, while like he's still like, no, I have you right here, and I'm like holding on to you. And that's like a really good visual for me to remember. But yeah, my favorite characteristic of God is that he's immutable. And so like he's not changing. He stays the same. He's constant when I'm not. And again, like just that little theme that I continue to see of like he is constant and that's never changing, and I can trust and rely and like rest in that.
Right.
And so I don't know, yeah, just been continuing since then to like learn more about like how his presence is my good, and that I have nothing good besides him, and like he has to be the source of all those things. And so I guess that's kind of where I am right now. But
Yeah.
yeah.
That's really sweet. I think so. Well, I guess it was during training week, and you shared you did like a devotion one morning, and it was about Martha and Mary, right?
Yeah.
And I remember at the end you shared that verse in Psalms where it is, your presence is my good. And I just felt like that was what I clinged on. Like it was like you showed it to me the first, I'm like, I knew his presence was my good, but it was the first time I had heard it like in the Bible.
Yeah.
Like knew the exact
Yeah.
verse. And I feel like that's just what I've been clinging on to, of like his presence is my good. And so if I'm in his presence, that is good. And like that's what I get to see even when life is not good, or even when you're in a hard conversation or in the awkward or somewhere you don't want to be. It's like, but his presence is in my good, and it's the sweetest place to be. Like I could be anywhere else, but I want to be in his presence. Because of that's all it is. And I think like part of your story, like seeing what the world has to offer, and oh, like a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But then it's like, but his presence is my good, and that's where I want to be. Like I don't want to see what this world has to offer, because this is where I love. So that's really sweet that he is this one thing that we need. I love when a song like speaks in that way, because then you can like go back to that song when things are hard and be like, okay, remember,
Yeah.
remember. So that's
Yeah.
sweet.
Like God does speak through us through all those avenues. So
Yeah.
it's really cool.
So then what does it kind of look like for you now? Because obviously like we're surrounded by non-believers. What does it look like for you to like stand firm in your faith while also loving on those in your sorority when you're in college, or
Yeah.
in just in your classes that like, you know, you can't just like completely not be around
Yeah.
anyone ever.
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely think it is interesting because like my job, like, and I know you just kind of said that, but in my job too, I can't necessarily like openly just share the gospel, but and I'm around a lot of different people and different students that even when they're fourth graders, they, it can be difficult sometimes to navigate like conversations and things, and like relationships there. But I think that it has been really helpful for me to always like look back at what did Jesus do, and being like, okay, he was still in these places, and he wasn't necessarily doing the same things or like speaking the same way, but he was still there and like he was present. And I don't know, I've been really like have tried to invite people like into my space and being like, hey, you do have like a place here, because I think that's a really important thing too, of knowing like you are welcome, like before you even like understand or before we agree, like, but you do like have a place here still. And then that is where like I can love you, um,
Right.
and build relationships and things like that. And so, obviously, praying and asking the Lord like for wisdom in those spaces. But I do think it's a really cool concept to realize that like I can love someone without agreeing with them, and like me being like I don't want to do XYZ that you might be doing doesn't mean that I can't love you well, because that same person is probably thinking the same thing about me. And so just like
Right.
coming to that realization of like I can love you and you can love me, and we can figure the rest of that out. But yeah,
Well, and like what you said, like who did Jesus sit with
yeah,
at the tables? It was broken and sinful people, and like I'm thankful that he was willing to see me past my
yeah,
sin and sit at the
yeah,
table with me.
yes, yeah,
Um, he didn't just like push people away because they were broken and lost. That's literally who he welcomed at the table. And I think that's like really evident in your life and in your walk. And I think it's sweet that you like did find that balance, or the Lord showed you that balance of how can I love people
yeah,
around me well,
yeah,
even when they don't believe the same things I believe, so then I can be the love of Jesus to them
yeah,
and share the gospel in that way of
yeah,
just like inviting them in.
yeah,
I think that's really sweet and something like I feel like I have to like consistently remind myself
yeah, yeah,
of like I got to sit at Jesus's table. Now I need to invite people to mine.
yeah. It's like someone
Like
did that
there's
for me. So yeah,
yes, yes, and that's really sweet. And then like also school of like being a teacher and you can't flat out be like, hey, this is your problem.
yeah,
Um, but to be able to like love them in that
mhm,
way and like be the hands and feet of Jesus through actions
mhm,
is like so cool because it's like you can't always
yeah,
speak, but
yeah,
then you can't love.
yeah,
Um, of the greatest commandment of that, like love God and love others,
mhm,
and then to be able to love others and even students in that way,
mhm,
where
yeah.
some of them just need to be loved.
Yes. And like seeing, I think that is something that the Lord has like revealed to me a lot through my job. And I think about this a lot of like see people, love people, serve people. And I'm like I feel like my mission, like as a teacher, when I think about it, is like I want to see my students, because some of them like don't get to be seen, not really. And so it's like that's my goal, first of all. But yeah.
That's so good. See people, love people, serve people. And I feel like if we all did that, we'd be in a better world.
Yeah.
Like if we genuinely all would just like notice the people that are around us and
Mhm.
love them well and then serve them. And then that really is just the character of God.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what he does and that's what he
Yes.
did. Um what was this summer like for you? Like what did you learn? What did the Lord teach you? For this
Yeah.
summer, even your past summers. You can
Yeah.
share about this too.
Yeah. It's so interesting, like since being back, I feel like I got to think a lot, and realizing how I knew this was a good summer, but really seeing more of like what the Lord had done. I know there was a time where we talked and I was like, I don't know if I have a big theme. And we were talking about how that's okay. Like God has still been teaching me things, even if they don't seem to connect. But I definitely feel like I really saw like his kindness a lot. And I know that is not anything crazy, but it is a big deal, that he is kind to us. And I really got to see that a lot, like through you all and like through the staff, which was really cool to me, because I feel like I never worked with a group of people like holistically that all genuinely were like pursuing the Lord and looking for, the ways to love people. Like that was your all's first goal. And that was really encouraging to me to be able to like hear the good things that the Lord was also like doing for you all, and just seeing like, oh wow, like God really has been so generous to us. And I know that I think I read this verse one time towards the end of the summer, but I hope I get the reference right. I think it's Psalm 13:6, but it says like I will sing to the Lord because he has treated me generously. And I thought about that a lot this summer. And then when I got back home, this has been like a newer reflection I've had, but someone asked me they were like, give me 3 words that describe your summer.
Mhm.
And it took me a while, but the first one I said was refreshing.
Mhm.
And when I do think this summer was so refreshing to me. Like it was my fifth summer. The Lord like taught me new things and showed me new things. Even like in my role, this is my second year in my role, but like it
Right.
felt so like it felt good. It felt new.
Yeah.
I got to like experience different facets of it. But I started thinking about that, and I was like, oh wow, like I'm seeing the Lord's faithfulness even in that, because like my word that I picked for this year was like refreshing, or like refresh.
Gosh.
And
Yep.
I just thought, like, now that I'm realizing, like, oh my goodness, like, I wasn't even praying that this summer would be refreshing. I don't think I ever actually prayed that. I prayed it for the year, but
Right.
seeing how, like, when I look back and, like, oh, God literally gave me something that I didn't even ask for, but I wanted, and like, He knew that I needed. And I think that was like seeing that now has been really, really sweet to like reflect on that the past few days. So yeah.
That's so sweet. Because it really was. And it's kind of interesting how something can be like hard and like
Yeah.
such a both and. Like, okay, it was hard and it was hot and it was this and this and this. But at the same time, it was so refreshing of
Yeah.
like just it was almost just like the straight up gospel so
Yeah.
clearly. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's what was refreshing. It was like
Mhm.
bringing it back to the main thing
Yeah.
in this most important thing. And then being like, oh, that's just refreshing to sit in that.
Yeah.
That's really sweet.
Yeah.
Um, and that is funny because we did talk about that. Of like, I don't really know what the theme of this summer has been in your walk when we were at lunch that day. And then just like the Lord, like revealing that in his perfect timing of like, oh, and he really has been so kind. And even like, I feel like his kindness is just like his character trait that I feel like is easy to see in so many different situations.
Yeah.
Because like, even when things are hard, like, it's like, okay, well, you're like grieving of a loss of somebody, but then people from your church are bringing food.
Yeah.
And then it's like the kindness of the Lord to see this small need and lay that on people's hearts. Or like the kindness of the Lord, even though this was a really long day at camp and you're tired and you're exhausted, but then the kindness of the Lord to like sit and worship and watch all of these students worshiping Jesus. Or like the kindness of the Lord, like you're in a horrible chemistry class at school, but then you get to sit next to somebody that makes you laugh. Like I feel like the kindness of the Lord is just like easy to see, or it's in everything, obviously. But then I feel like it's one of the things that are easy to see when we look for it.
Yes. Like if we're
So
looking, yeah.
we have to have eyes
Yes.
to
And like
see it.
reminding like when I see that kindness, also pairing that with like I don't deserve that. And then that makes
Yes,
it seem so much like you're like, oh wow, this is a big deal. Like
right, right. Because it's like I literally deserve hell,
Mhm.
and instead he's being kind to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so good.
Like he has not
Um,
given me what I deserve. So
oh, thanks God.
thanks God.
Um, but Gretchen and I were prayer partners, and so sweet that we just got to like walk this summer together. Like obviously we all walked together, but it was sweet. Like we got to like sit down and be like more intentional and like speaking about it. Um, but to find out we were prayer partners, they like blindfolded us, and we were like moved all around the field, so we had like no clue where we were. And leadership was like moving us around, and we're just like standing. I'm like, what is happening? I was like, got to camp. I'm confused. And then they're like, okay, take your blindfolds off. And I look up and it was a guy. And I was like, there's no way I just got partnered with a guy. And we all quickly realized that it was not our prayer partners. And we had like a picture in our hand and we had to find the match to the picture. And so I was walking around looking for my picture. And then it was Gretchen. And it was perfect. And it was so fun. And we had these little princesses. Who were they again?
It's the girls from The Princess and the Pauper.
Yes.
It was
And they were like so,
literally us. Yeah.
it literally matched us. It was like the blonde girl and the brown head girl, and it was so exciting.
Yeah.
And we probably had the loudest reaction of we were like jumping up and down, hugging each other.
Around.
And we were so excited. That was like one of my favorite memories of the summer because it was just like funny. Like it was just like so random. And then it was then we were handcuffed to each other,
Yeah.
weren't we?
Yeah.
For
Like
lunch.
tied together. Yeah.
Yeah, tied hand what handkerchief, whatever those things. Blindfolded. Our blindfolds then held our hands together and we ate lunch that way. That's one of my favorite memories of the summer because it was just funny.
Yeah.
Well, sweet. Thank you for sharing your story of just the Lord's kindness and you walking through the journey, but then to like realize who Jesus is and the most important thing that he is. And now it's sweet to like get to see you on this side of that because it's so evident that Jesus is the one thing that matters in your life. And everything else flows from that, the way that you love and serve and just live. And so it's really sweet to see that. And so I appreciate you and just the way that you love the Lord and me. So
Love you. I appreciate you.
so thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
And thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you next week. Bye.